Right. And
Like the guy's got to be more than a guy who can throw the out, right?
And we always talk about knowing the assignment. That's the first step, right? And there's more for a quarterback in terms of the assignments based upon the play that maybe other positions may have. But then that next step is that mastery, that deeper understanding the nuances of a specific play, but then also how the defense reacts to that, what some of the ways that we can take advantage or minimize risks and so forth. And I think that's part of the progression that can enable any quarterback, once they have that type of experience and mastery, to take that next step.
And then the leadership part of it, how he interacts with the guys.
Yes, I mean, from day
there?
one, he was always a guy first and foremost who has and does to this day set the example in terms of his work ethic and being a guy who's first in and last out. And he's got his office up there now where he spends extra time. He was in a closet. He went from a rookie who had his closet. Now he's over as a little office there where he can do some extra film study, and he's taken the bull by the horns with that. And when you look out here out on the practice field, whether it's walkthrough reps and whether it's the actual competitive 7-on-7 group work or teamwork, he's setting the example, but then also interacting with his teammates, giving them feedback, telling them what he's anticipating, what he's expecting, encouraging, correcting, all the things that you want a good quarterback as a leader to be able to do.
Where is that office? Is it like up near the coaches?
There's an office up there that he had a computer set up for video that was in the team meeting room. And he would spend time as a rookie. I mean, early on, he went through and established a protocol of a rhythm of what to watch on the player day off, quote unquote, and then Wednesday, and just going through an extra research assignments and things to get ready for the upcoming game. And sometimes there would be other activities, player development that were going on in that same area. And so as we've kind of shifted a few things around, there's an extra office that's up there, up on the same floor as the coaches, where there's a couple computers set up there. I know Minka comes up there, and those are the two Jersey boys right in there, and have a chance to go ahead and do a little extra work, and that's great. That's what you want your leaders to do.
Is that something that he approached you? Did he approach you and say, hey, is there a spot that's quieter, or did you guys say, we're going to clear out some space and give you guys
I think it was, when we saw his initiative and anything that we can do to help a young man take that next step and develop that level of mastery and expertise that we can facilitate, that is something that behooves us to do.
Mike, is there anything
enough out of the pocket?
Excuse me?
Is he giving you enough out of the pocket?
Yeah, you know what? That's interesting you bring that up. One of the things you're talking about, as far as extending plays
no, as a pocket passer. I know he's doing a lot of extending plays.
I misunderstood you. Okay,
is he satisfying you as a coach?
Yeah. One of the things we've looked at is there's ability when it breaks down for a quarterback to extend where they're going to get outside the pocket. I misunderstood your question. The next component is when you're either climbing or down at a 45 left or right, where you're still within the pocket, but it's those subtle nuances, those resets, those ability to go ahead and buy some time. There's still enough time to see the progression and make the read, but it doesn't warrant you having to escape right or left. And that's something we looked at some people and took a look at ourselves first and foremost, and looked at some other teams and other offenses and work some of the drills out here, and it's been pleasing to us to see the improvement he has made in those areas. And it's still early, it's spring, we're here in shorts and just helmets, but that's something that's part of that next step that we're hoping to see him make in 2023.
Mike, does he or the offense need to make more explosive plays, and what can you do to kind of work on that, if anything?
I think any offense is going to be to our benefit to make those explosive plays. When you have a 12, 14 play drive, that's 12 or 14 opportunities for something bad to happen. If we can have a 4, 5, 6 play drive, it's kind of common sense, but there's truth to that statement. And I think it's twofold from the quarterback position. I think it's about the ball location, being able to put that ball out front through our receivers or backs to maximize the run after catch. I think schematically we've really done a good job taking a hard look at what are the things we can do to put guys in those situations where they're on the move catching passes as opposed to necessarily having their shoulders facing back towards the line of scrimmage. So a combination of those two things are areas that will help our explosive plays around.
Is that any more of a focus during the offseason?
Well, I think every offseason you want to take a look at where we stood. Statistically, where we were towards the top, how could we get better, where we were falling short, and in terms of some of the run after catch component or explosive plays, as you mentioned, if that's an area to improve, we'd be foolish not to address that.
coaches say you guys want to be a power team, young team. Do you anticipate teams possibly trying to take that way and say, there's a second-year quarterback that's throwing 7 touchdowns, let's try to make him beat us?
You know, it's hard to say what the approaches are going to be. I think right now we're trying to establish a versatility of being able to do the things that you're going to love to do. We've got a great back, a really strong offensive line, and be able to run the football is always good. It helps you close out games, win games, and all weather, so to speak. Certainly the play action pass component that can be a great asset, which can give, can give you some of that run after the catch that we're looking for would be good. But I think at this point, if you really want to identify what our strengths are and depending upon who we're playing, if they're a team that's going to be bad against the pass or be susceptible to some of that, if we can attack them in that way, that's going to be a focal point, as opposed to maybe another team is really strong against the pass, but they're going to give you those light boxes, and we've got to make sure we're doing all that we can. Quarterback position, ball handling, fakes, snap points, the consistency of sameness and lightness in the runs and passes.
Is it fair to say that you guys didn't want him to lose the game for you last year? I mean, maybe not in the last 2 minutes of the lead, but I think you're very careful what you allowed him.
You know, I don't know if I can make that assessment. I think we're always, every quarterback, that whole notion of game manager, which you would say is maybe implied. You can't manage on third down. You can't manage in the red zone. You certainly can't manage in 2 minutes. And I think there's always going to be guidelines or parameters, if you will, in terms of a game where this is a really, really great offense. We're going to have to keep pace, so to speak, or maybe this is an offense which we know our defense is matching up well against, and maybe our emphasis is maybe more ball control oriented. All these things are discussions that you start with Coach Tom and us offensively through that moving forward. So really hard to say it's being something other than being dependent upon the opponent.
Can you speak to maybe the expanded confidence all the quarterbacks would have in George from year 1 to year 2?
Yeah, I think you have someone that was as productive as George was, particularly on the deep balls, on those 50-50 balls. And through experience and through repetition, that's where trust and confidence is built. And he's shown that. And I think all the quarterbacks are excited to see him take that next step and be able to be someone that defenses have to account for. And if he gets to a point where they're going to commit 2 players to him, then that creates other opportunities for other players in the pass game, or opens up running lanes. And so definitely something we're excited about.
Mike, it looks like that Kenny's been practicing with a helmet cam. Is that something that's new? What kind of advantage do you get from him having that?
Yeah, that's something we just actually put on the past few days. Just always looking at any type of edge, any type of advantage. This is the time of year to do that. It's the time of the year to improve, to lay the foundation, to really set the stage for where we want to go. And that's just an extra tool that we're still fine-tuning it, trying to get a sense of, because what it does is it gives a vision of how he sees it. It's not perfect. I mean, it's not like having an iPhone back there, but it does give a perspective so that from a pre-snap standpoint, gives us a chance to say, okay, hey, you were looking here, what did you see? What would it tell us by the alignment of the linebackers or where this player was, what have you? And then we've been able to intercut it or overlay it with that his vision, and then underneath is all 22 end zone. So it's just an additional resource, an additional teaching tool, anything again that we can do from that to having him have extra space to do his meeting, to have to have his little office, if you will. Anything that we can do to help that young man take that next step, we're going to do.
I know the Dolphins just started using one with Tua. How did you guys get the idea to put that on the helmet?
You know what? Our IT staff and video staff they're as excited as we are, and they said, hey, well, how would you feel about taking a look at this? And I said, sure. This is the time of year to do that. So if there's anything, if we can get a few things out of it, great. Whatever it takes.
Mike, you mentioned sort of talking about Kenny as a game manager, referencing that moniker, but he cut down on mistakes towards the end of the year. But he didn't really take a lot of chances, to what Mark was talking about, towards the end of the game, so you guys needed it. Is that sort of the next step? Is that, all right, we've got to the point where we know you're going to be smart with the ball, but now you have to learn it's okay to be trust your guys, trust to make those plays?
It doesn't fall into that cookie cutter box. And I know I'm not trying to say anything maybe Mark was asking. The quarterback has to do whatever is necessary to help the team win. And as I mentioned, those certain situations, I think it's common sense for any quarterback to be smart where, hey, it's first down and, you want to take that extra risk and hang in here and try to stuff it and cut down there. Okay, maybe chances are going to have to be taken for us to win the ball game. And I think those critical situations I mentioned earlier, third down, your red zone, 2 minute, there's no places to hide there, and it's not like nor would we want to hide anybody. I think it's just a matter of in all areas of his game, we as coaches doing everything we can to help him improve and become more confident and competent, because the more there's that level of mastery and he understands it and he can anticipate, then all that takes care of itself, whether it's normal down distance or those other situations I was talking about.
What do you view as the next step that you just referenced a few minutes ago?
I think the level of the speed and the anticipation, the ball location, one of the gentlemen was talking about plays within the pocket, those opportunities. The faster he's able to do those things and do them well, and that there's no shortcut to that. That only comes through repetition and experience and going back over it again and overanalyzing and just being out there and doing it over and over and over again, to where it's like the old adage, you do it over and over and over again. Don't do it till you can't get it right. Do it till you can't get it wrong. It's rote memory. It's muscle memory. And so that's the next step. And he's had a lot of quality work here. Can't wait to get to the drill. Can't wait to get moving forward with it.
What were the biggest improvements you saw from Kenny over the course of last season, and where do you think he's made the greatest leap so far this offseason?
I think this offseason, he's done a great job in terms of just a level of understanding of the big picture of what we're trying to do on every specific play, where his eyes need to be, having a sense of who some of his teammates are, what are some of the strengths and weaknesses of a particular player running a certain concept, and decision making has been good. He's also done a really good job extending plays. We saw some of that last year on game tape, but he's picked up right where he's left off and helping to train his teammates so that when he does have to break down and there's an issue, doesn't have the time, or who knows what happens. That's irrelevant. What is relevant is that he's decisive with it, and his body language and the speed with which he leaves the pocket signals to those receivers, hey, this is a new play here. It's a scramble drill, and everyone going to certain spots. And we've done quite a bit of this out here, and his ability to be accurate on the move has been really impressive.
I got a non-Kenny question.
I'm like, my goodness, where's my guy over here?
We can end on this one.
Ice my jaw here. No, I'm kidding.
I know you guys obviously have more quarterbacks than Kenny. One of them, Mason, came back, re-signed. When you look at, now you guys can have a third quarterback active on game day, and you see what happens with the 49ers, just what value does Mason have, and how important was it to bring a veteran in that you guys are familiar with that can be that break glass in case of emergency guy?
Well, first of all, it's just a wonderful quarterback room. I mean, I'm just so excited that Mitch is back, that Mason is back, the young man from Minnesota, free agent Tanner Morgan, has been a great addition. Just the chemistry is tremendous, the communication, the camaraderie, all those guys work very well together. And you see that, certainly saw it with Mason and Mitch last year, how much of a bond there was with he and Kenny, how much Kenny relied upon them throughout the week. And then, certainly during the game on the sideline. And so those guys have been tremendous. When you look at a guy like Mason, who is a veteran, who started games, who is familiar with our system, familiar with Kenny, familiar with Mitch, in a lot of ways it's a no-brainer. I mean, it really is great to have someone, when you look at, again, a tremendous job, obviously what happened in San Francisco, and having Brock Purdy step into that. A credit to the coaching staff and to that team for what they were able to accomplish. But that's hard to do at times. That's an awful big challenge. And, if, heaven forbid, if called upon, we have great confidence. Mason is called upon to perform as well as with Mitch, as he had it at times to do last year. So just really blessed and excited about that quarterback room we have right now.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.